Hey guys, it's Chris Singh here back from CNH Small Engines for another informative video about outdoor power equipment. The machine I got right in front of me is one of the, I'd say about 3 dozen machines that we had with the same exact problem over here. This is the newer, I believe, Briggs Chinese sourced engines. I believe these ones are actually made in China. If somebody can tell me otherwise, please do so. But as far as I know, these things are probably made in China. This is the newer Briggs and Stratton overhead valve engine that they came out with probably back in 2000. I think 2010, 2011. I think I first started seeing people having them on their machines, and this is basically a cheap and dirty Briggs and Stratton overhead valve engine. It's not like the older overhead valve intake engines that you've seen on the older, I'd say like Sears ones. I'd say like probably from 2000 up to about 2007, 2008 that they had on some of their lumbers. Me personally, I had a Briggs and Stratton 7 horsepower intake on one of my Sears lawnmowers, and the thing ran great and cut great. The only thing was you had to prime it about 5, 6, 7 times to get the thing started right. But after it started up, and it basically ran like a top, except it usually drank twice as much gas as with the comparable engine, like say a 6 or 6.5 would. There was a flathead engine for that. Well, the one of the downsides is with this specific type of engine is they have plastic carburetors on these machines. It's a black, some kind of plastic or plastic resin type of carburetor on these machines, and it's similar to the old Tecumseh Door Force style carburetors, except these newer ones are basically, I think they're, as far as I know, they're probably Chinese, and they're a different type of plastic from the typical lawn boy carburetors, because it's a different company for one thing, so it's a different manufacturer. They probably have a different manufacturing process for one thing. Plus, it's a 4-stroke and it's not a 2-stroke engine, so it's burning straight gas. It's not a gas and oil mix. Well, the problem is with this one is in front of me here. Guy brought it over here a couple days ago, and he kept on claiming the machine was hard starting and bogging out and dying on him over here. And this machine's only about, I think, 2012, I believe. And as you see right now, it's dripping gasoline out of the intake. You can see it right there dripping on the right-hand side of the airbox goes. And because of that, we checked it. We took a look at it, and he had tons of debris and water. There was actually water down the bottom of his fuel tank and the top on there. And these things don't have a filtration system like a car or a truck or something like that. All they have is basically a mesh screen in the bottom of the gas tank, and it's basically only meant to stop large particles. It's not designed to stop water. It's not designed to stop small like dusty pieces of stuff that might get in your gas tank or water. If say you're out there cutting grass and it's extremely dusty out there, and you get a lot of debris around the top of your lip of your gas tank up here in the top. And the problem is these gas caps, you don't have any way of like really protecting the lips. You can see on here, it basically you can get basically, I should say, you can get debris all along this whole area right here, and by doing that, this stuff just falls right down. Get all this crap right up on top up here. It's not like the older Briggs flathead style gas tanks where they have a wider cap on it. These newer ones, they have a different venting system. It's actually in the middle. You can see it right here, and they have a completely different venting system. It goes in through the top right here, or I should say, it doesn't really go in through the top. Basically, it sucks air from this small orifice in the back right here down to the inner part right there. So it basically goes out, or the air goes in from on the outside and gets sucked in the inner part right here for that. And for some weird reason, they love to accumulate tons of debris all around this whole lip area right here for that. And they can also plug that hole down inside there as well too, so be mindful of that. They do plug up with some debris in there as well too. And if you were noticed, taking these gas tanks off on here, if you put the gas cap back on here and you take the fuel line and you leave it by itself, you'll see a noticeable drop in fuel coming out of the fuel line, as opposed to simply having the gas cap off it on her. So basically, if you get the gas cap on like it is right now, your fuel line will basically have the flow cut into about, I say about a quarter of what should be flowing out there for that. And these gas caps are pretty restrictive in my opinion right there for that, because I basically flow tested this design against the older Briggs flatheads, and basically the older Briggs flathead gasoline system is at least twice as better in terms of flow rate for that. So it's basically a downside in my opinion for having these newer EPA, I don't know, call them EPA regulated gas caps for that, because this is the exact emission calibration for this one is 2012, as you see right down here. 2012 EPA mandated on here, and it doesn't really go into any other detail. It says emission compliance for 125 hours, so it basically has to meet compliance for at least 125 hours to basically meet the regulations for that specific setup. And as you see right here, it's basically dripping gasoline right out of the carburetor's throat right there. Basically, this thing's flooding itself, which means the carburetor is contaminated and it is damaged internally on there for that. And basically, problems like this, let's say you have a 50-50 chance of it being repaired with a carb kit. However, carb kits, in my personal preference and past experience, more than likely do not solve this problem. You basically need a new carburetor, because we repaired dozens of these machines in the past, and we actually experimented on about, I think, 2 or 3 of them a few years back to see which way would be the best way. And unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, trying to rebuild these specific carburetors did not pan out, to say the least. And this engine, I'll show you on the front on here too. Show you what it has here. Let me flip it up here again so you can see this. There's where they have the actual specific model number right there and your serial number right there. This one has the 9P series. It's a 9P702 series on it. Below that it says DOM, data manufacturer, 2012 right there for that as well too. They always have the information stamped on that front plate right here for your specifics for the engine, I should say. The older machines, they'll have them stamped somewhere else on a machine, like over by the recoil unit over there on the right hand side or left hand side. It all depends on the specific application for the machine. Sometimes maybe over here, maybe on the other side over here. It all depends on what the specific application is. Some other overhead valve machines, they'll actually have the model number, type, and code stamped right on top of your valve cover. Basically, if you have a wood chipper, log splitter, or some type of horizontal shaft overhead valve engine, more than likely your specific model number and information will be stamped on top of the valve cover. It will not be stamped on a plate on the side here. It will not be stamped on a valve cover. It'll be on some kind of plate somewhere that's sticking out on a flat flange, like over here somewhere like that possibly. But these newer overhead valve engines, I can say for the certain fact I am not impressed by them at all. Basically, my opinion of them is basically they are garbage in my personal opinion. I do not recommend purchasing them, and because of the problems they have with them. I was actually on, we don't call it, Briggs & Stratton's website, and they have a link to their YouTube page. And these new specific models, they even tell people on the Briggs & Stratton YouTube page, on the one commercial on there, that you do not have to change the oil ever. All you have to do is check the oil and add oil to the machine, because the engine supposedly runs so clean and cool that it does not burn up the engine. So basically, my opinion of that is it's complete hogwash, and it's complete piss if you take my word for it right there, because anytime you got a machine that's going to be using up your additive package and your wear package down inside there, and basically you have to change your oil out. You cannot just simply check and add your oil. So I don't know why Briggs would even tell people that out there, because it's complete crap. So if you have an engine similar to this or almost identical to it, more than likely you'll have one that's identical to this, because they do make different variations of this specific size. This is, I believe, about a 4.5, 5 horsepower I believe they make up to about, I think about a 6.5 horsepower for this specific type out there for that, because they do have different sizes of self-propelled and push machines. They do put this kind of engine on there for that. So if anybody has any questions, comments, whatnot about this type of engine or this type of problem or problems or the overall quality of the newer batch of Briggs overhead valve engines, as always, leave me a message on my page here and I'll try to answer some basic questions you guys have about it. I'll see you guys.